Hello and welcome to Untold, episode 11, the Oubliette, or Oblique. Tonight is going to...
Oubliette.
Tonight, one of the many questions we will be posing as we look at another chapter of the fantasy classic that is Labyrinth. I almost said Battle Royale then for some reason. I am your host, as always, Elwood Jones, and joining me, of course, is our guide to the Labyrinth, the one and only, Miss Emily Slade.
Hello.
Tonight we are obviously talking about one of your favourite chapters.
Hell, they're all my favourite chapters, but yes.
But the one that you sort of like pointed out there into
I'm
midfield and it's like gonna hit a zinger tonight.
Obsessed with. Oh yeah.
So what is it about this scene that you like especially? Because obviously the last episode we were hanging out with Helping Hands and Todd, which was really fun. And now we're obviously in this room with no doors, and if I remember right from my fantasy gaming days, these sorts of rooms are just basically designed for holding prisoners, or in the case of Labyrinth, for putting people you want to forget about.
Yeah, I imagine it's like a real historical thing taken from like the French or whatever, but it's, oh my god, like, where do I even begin? Okay, I'm just going to guide us through this episode.
Okay.
Because it's fucking amazing. So it's a great start. We've had our trapdoor slammed down, and we're in like a spotlight in this like pitch black cave, and you're like, shit, what is going on? We then cut immediately back to the castle, where Jarrod is in a new outfit, looking great, in like a silky pirate shirt that's black with black leather gloves. Very nice. Brilliantly set up shop, surrounded by all of these goblins, which are always really fun to go back and look at, the different choices made by the puppeteers. He's incredibly concerned because she should not have got as far as the Oubliette. She should have given up by now. But then it's fine because he tells us, a little bit of foreshadowing in this episode, that Hoggle is going to come and take her back to the beginning, and then hopefully she'll soon give up. And then he does the classic, like, well, laugh. And all the goblins laugh, which is very Terry Jones. It's very like 80s, 90s villain of like, come on, laugh. Great, love it. Big fan. And he throws the crystal ball into the air, which was iconic. And then we're back in the Oubliette. And a light appears and we get to see the set. And it's basically, it must have been, like, it looks like a set from Legend.
Yeah.
That they've just, like, rented for the day. Because there is glitter everywhere. And it's amazing. There's like these big waxy candles that are just soaked in glitter that I must have. Market them. Like, come on, man. The wizarding world of Harry Potter can't be the only thing that go into the ridiculous details to market things to people. Like, I'm a millennial. I will buy those candles for like $24.99. Like a pack of 2 to 4 big waxy Oubliette candles that look exactly like the ones from the movie. I will pay money for those. Like, let me give you my money. So good. Her delivery of the line, who's there? It's iconic. It's queenly. Like, she's so easily, Jennifer Connelly so easily could have gone down the sort of basic choice of like, who's there? But she didn't. She did this very fed up sort of, who's there? Like, she's on her guard. She's on the defense. Like, she's ready to fucking fight you in this fucking labyrinth that she's sick of. But it's Hoggle, and she immediately changes her demeanor, and she's like, oh, it's my bestie from the beginning. And he's like, I'm not your bestie. Because Hoggle has so many issues. It's so fun. There's like skeletons in the back, which I'd never noticed before, which is amazing. They have the lovely little establishing conversation about how Hoggle loves jewelry, and a really lovely moment as well where we have this sense of the two worlds coming together, where she offers him her bracelet and he's like, what is that anyway? And she's like, plastic? And he's like, oh, plastic. And that's really fun because you get the idea that there isn't plastic in the labyrinth.
No, there wouldn't be. They don't have polymers.
Which is really, really great. And then some actual real life magic happens in front of your eyes. Literal, actual witchcraft appears on screen, and no one did anything about it at the time. It blows. When I first saw this, my life had already changed like 30 minutes ago when Jarrod first appeared on screen, but oh my god, like I think I gasped out loud when I first saw this. Oh god, okay, I'm just gonna go straight into it. So Hoggle moves aside some like tarp from the floor and lifts up just a slab of like wood, like a wide plank of wood, and he pushes it up against the wall. And already you're like, amazing, you've made a fun little door. Like, that's enough for me. That's adorable. I love it. And he opens it up, and comically all of these pots and pans fall out, and it's all very clumsy, and he kicks them aside, and he's like, wrong door. And you're like, classic. And he shuts it and he locks it, and then he goes to the other side of the plank of wood and opens it that way, and it's a door out of the oubliette. It's magic. It's actual real life magic. It blows my mind every time I see it. It's the most creative, imaginative, masterful piece of cinema. Fuck off, Citizen Kane. The door in the oubliette from Labyrinth is the greatest cinematic moment of all time.
Okay. Yeah, the door is... I'm going to end up working backwards here, just now that...
yeah, fill in the gaps,
Okay, so starting with the door. The door itself is probably one of my favourite magic door sequences. There's another instance of someone doing a door where they draw it in chalk. And I remember it's really bugging me now. I can't remember what it is, because I know that they draw the outline of the door in chalk, and then he's like, "Oh, forgot the knob," and like draws the door handle on it, and then it opens up out of the wall. Yeah, and I think that the Hoggle's magic caretaker door is right up there with that, and the fact that he doesn't get it right first time is just really is what adds to the charm of this sequence. It's sort of like, oh wait, that's the broom cupboard. And it's sort of like, and how flustered he is by all these like pots and pans that are suddenly like falling on him. And I think he remarks, "Is like, oh, can't be right all the time."
Yeah.
And then, as you said, he does it again, and it opens up into our next area, which will obviously be the false warnings. And just his sense of self-satisfaction when he walks in, he's like, "Oh, there we go," and it's all like, that's really great. The actual design of the Oubliette, is that right?
Oubliette.
This is the actual thing that they had in castles, and the same as this room, the only entrance would have been through the grate in the ceiling. So Sarah's entry into the room is exactly the same in proper historical context. And it was often used for probably some of the worst prisoners or your worst enemies. Is where you put them and forget about them, because they're not going to be able to escape from there. And this is very much the setup we have here, and it kind of makes you wonder why Jarrod, who's obviously so obsessed with Sarah, wants to basically shove her in a hole and forget about her.
There's a skeleton in the oubliette. Who is that? Jarrod's previous girlfriend? Like, we don't know. Does he... And he implies with she shouldn't have got as far as the oubliette implies that there's only one Oubliette, but Hoggle tells us that the labyrinth's full of them. So, nothing is as it seems, and, don't take anything for granted. But yeah, I don't, he's not concerned in the sense that, like, he knows she's not going to stay there because he knows that Hoggle's going to come and lead her back to the beginning, which is why is there a skeleton in there, and why didn't Hoggle, was this pre-Hoggle? Or did he accidentally leave someone there and then they died and he was like, shit, I'm not about that life. Like, that's not me. That's not my vibe. I'll employ someone to collect people from the Oubliettes in future and take them back to the beginning of the labyrinth, because that's just harsh, man. Like, that was very un-me.
Maybe it's atmosphere.
I don't know.
Like when you go to castle tours and they've got like a wooden skull in a cage and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe it's fake. Maybe like someone died and their dying wish was like, Jarrod, can you put my skeleton in the Oubliette to scare people? And he's like, 100%, buddy. I will do that for you.
Maybe it was like Dead Tom in Muppets Treasure Island. It's like, they killed Dead Tom.
Dead. Long John killed him.
Dead Tom's always been dead. That's why it's called Dead Tom.
Oh, classic. Yeah, maybe it's one of those. Maybe there's a cut scene where the skeleton like watches them leave or something, and it's like the skeleton on top of it's not the wardrobe, but like a doorway in The Last Unicorn that gets drunk off fake wine. Maybe it's one of those.
It could also be, Hoggle's ventriloquist act. So you need something to amuse himself, because he's going to be sitting in a hole for a while. It's not like he's got any sort of schedule. And you were saying that with the Oubliette, he's going to be worse than when I tried to do Japanese names. So it's just going to be horrible throughout. So let's just strap ourselves in for this. The way the labyrinth seems to be set up, it's very much like a layers of an onion. You hit different areas as you go through it, and they all seem to be the ring. So it would make sense that Hoggle says labyrinth full of them, because this particular area probably is. Whereas when we get into like the Fowries area, or we get into the sort of garden maze rings, it'd be less likely that they'd be there, because there'd be no way for someone to go down. Whereas where we were before, it was a pretty obvious sort of like trap that they would have set up with the full guards.
Yeah, that's very true.
Also, what sort of like evil overlord doesn't spring for like a big monitor or something for his evil deeds and just makes everyone crowd around one tiny crystal ball?
Jarrod,
it's just cutting corners there. I mean, yes, you spent a lot of money on like the big room at the end, and and I know Goblin Labor's probably not cheap, the amount of people he's got working for him, but still, it's sort of like spring for like a big cauldron or a magic mirror or something. Having you and 30 of your homies crowd around a tiny crystal ball, it's just the aesthetic of the thing, man.
I feel like Jarrod was probably trying to look at the crystal ball by himself, and all the goblins were like, "What are you doing, Jarrod? Can we come have a look?" And he's like, "Oh, leave me alone. Go away." And they're like, "What's he doing? What's he doing?" And then he just starts talking out loud because they're there now. And he's like, fine.
They're just waiting for another musical
but then,
number.
Like, don't let them in your throne room. Yeah.
That's the thing is,
they've probably just finished a musical number and they're taking 5. And they've all got like their like fruit shoots. And then Jareth's like, I'll just like check in as to where Sarah is. And then he's like, shit on it. She's in the Oubliette.
Yeah.
And they're all like,
she'll never give up.
It's like, yes, thank you. When I want your opinion, I'll ask for it. All right? Pipe down.
Sounds like one of our recordings.
What, I'm the little goblin?
No, it's sort of like when
she'll never give up.
When I want your opinion, I will ask for it. But it's very symbolic, really. The fact that she has to hit the lowest point. And how do we do this? By putting it into a dungeon where the only way is by going up, or in this way to the side. So it's very, and when we look at what follows, it's her basically building herself back up and getting on the rise, because she's finding allies. She's got Hoggle as her sort of like sidekick at this point. When she enters into the scene, she's on her own. So she's essentially at her lowest point. She's being beaten down by the labyrinth. And it's only the fact that
Yeah.
Hoggle takes pity on her and doesn't know what plastic is that she's able to sort of start building herself back up.
Yeah, she like learns to negotiate, and she's like being very sort of good on herself. She's like, no, I'm doing really well. Like, I've come really far. Like, this is fine. This is a minor setback. Like, this is okay. And then it always weirded me out as a kid. I never quite understood the conversation that followed, where Hoggle, and I don't know if it was Hoggle's performance, where he's like, yes, you're doing really well, but it gets harder from here on out. And she's like, why do you care about me? And I'm like, whoa, Sarah, I didn't interpret that as him like suddenly being really caring. I think he was just making conversation, Sarah. No, everything's about you. Like, it always just didn't quite sit right with me, the flow of that conversation. And then it justifies itself by him being like, oh, well, you know, I do care. Nice young girl, horrible black oubliette. And it's like, where did this come from? Like, the last time we spoke, you were an absolute dickwad. And now you're suddenly being quite sympathetic. It's a very sudden change of character from Hoggle that never quite sat with me, because it wasn't given enough build-up. Because even his entry into the oubliette, she's like, who's there? And he's like, me. And you're like, oh, fuck, it's you. Which she's not. She's like, oh, it's you. Like a friendly face. And then his concern for her does seemingly sort of come out of nowhere in my mind.
I think it's, respect the fact she managed to get as far as she has. When she's first introduced, she's kind of still very bratty and got these big ideas of what the fantasy realm is because of things she's read in books rather than, getting out in the so-called real world. It seems weird to call a fantasy world of the real world, but when this is obviously his world, so the fact that she's been able to adapt, he knows what's in the labyrinth. It does a bunch of things designed to screw with you, and the fact that she managed to make it as far as she has, as far as sort of like a grudging respect that he now has for her. And let's face it, he's the closest to a friendly face she's encountered in this world. I mean, who else has she seen? She's seen like the 4 guards who were just there to screw with her, the little goblin people. The worm, I guess, would be a friendly face, but he has got I would say in my mind where it was until we started this project. He's busy dealing with his home life. He's not got time to be going off adventuring, so
I get why she's happy to see him. I think his turnaround, for me, if I was script doctor, it just happens a little bit too soon. He needed just a little bit more build up of showing sympathy and empathy for her. But then he's such a complex character, so I guess it does make sense in the grand scheme of things. He's very flippant. But they agree, they negotiate, and he, instead of taking her back to the beginning, he'll take her as far as he knows, or whatever it is. And then she's on her own from there. And it's quite a nice exchange that they have where he like repeats back to her as if it's his own idea. He's a fun character, Hoggle. I'm just being picky. But then he does the most amazing magical thing ever in the history of cinema immediately after, so all is forgiven.
And what would that be?
Opening the magic door.
Oh, okay, of course.
It's so good. Like, come on. Like, email in, go to Insta, go to Facebook, let us know, because that fucking door blows my actual mind every time I see it. The first time I saw it, I think my heart actually stopped in my chest. Like, I was just like, I think I stood up and gave a round of applause to Jim Henson, like a standing ovation. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Who's to say? I don't know. But like in my mind I did, because I was just like, nothing is ever going to top that. Ever. Like, I watched Infinity War and Endgame back to back, midnight viewing. None of that topped the door in Labyrinth. I watched Citizen Kane. Nothing beats that door. Like, it's just... And I really paid attention this time. And you can see, as he shuts the broom closet, you can see the light behind the door appears for the exit before he opens it again. But it just, like, it's all one shot. It's all one shot. There's no cutaways. It's all in real time. It's a magic door that exists somewhere in, like, Brian Henson's house that they brought to set. It's just, of all the doors, the magic doors in movies, of which there should be a top 10 somewhere. I'll write it. Don't worry about it. I'll get on that.
What, magic doors? Or magic portals?
Yeah, like the chalk one from Pan's Labyrinth. Obviously the wardrobe from Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. The Moria door with Mello. So many magic doors in movies, but this is absolute number one magic door.
Okay.
Beetlejuice, I think they do the chalk with the door again.
Oh, that's where it was.
I think that's what you were thinking of.
Yes, it was definitely, because it's they're reading for the book, and and then he remarks, I forgot the knob. Oh God, I feel better now. I can go to sleep now. It's not going to sit up just
sleep
like
easy.
Okay, what is it?
Where was that door?
It's like
so many magic doors, but absolutely none of them top.
I'm
just obsessed with it, and I can't be the only one. Like, come on, people of the world, tell me you love the door. I need a T-shirt with that door on it. I need bed sheets with that door on it. I need that door in my house. Oh, I love that door. I love the oubliette. I love its vibe. Like, going forward in the Labyrinth, we're going to get to much sort of more mazier places, more greenery. We're going to meet lots of different creatures and go to lots of nice places. But the vibe of the oubliette is very legend. It's very never-ending story. It's dark. It's misty. There's, like, glitter fucking everywhere. Like, it's just really, really fun aesthetically. For such a short scene, it's so iconic. Like, I'm sure it's what everyone thinks of when they remember Labyrinth.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure this is, like, right up there.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
But we're coming up on one of my favourite scenes soon, so everyone can go and question why I like it so much as well. But but yeah, I think, as I say, it's a fun sequence. Definitely keeps in track with more magic world establishment. It's all about you're further reinforcing what this world is, which is a world where, you know, magic exists and everything is essentially possible if we choose it to be so. So by the fact that you have this magic door, it makes any number of things that appear in the rest of the film possible, such as there's a scene where they go up the ladder and they come out of the vase, and we see clearly there is no bottom. It's standing on a table, and we accept that, and this is essentially subliminally setting up in our minds that, you know, this is the case. Although part of me would love to have seen him get it wrong again, just have some pet or something behind one door.
Yeah, I mean, power of three.
I'm just saying, it's but I feel that, you know, when you obviously question, like, the jump in the relationship, but I think as much grudgingly as we have to, like, admit this is a children's film originally, so children aren't particularly deep on, you know, the connections you make with people. The child's mind essentially works as, we know this person, we meet them again, and they don't want to kill us, then that makes them their friend or a friendly face. So that's how we can sort of interpret the relationship. But we can look at it a little bit deeper and understand the fact that Hoggle, being, you know, the working class dwarf that he is probably going to respect someone who's not given up at this point, knowing exactly what was between point A and where she is now. Yeah. He probably knew about that worm as well, sending her in the wrong direction as well. Could have saved so much time. But then Gimli wouldn't have got to hang out here.
But then, yeah, she wouldn't have learned many valuable lessons.
Yeah, well, it's the thing you got to question. It's sort of like, you can skip to the end, but would you have the power that you need to defeat Jarrod?
Exactly.
Or is it the journey that gives us the power? I mean, is this like The Alchemist, where it's the gold that we see and search, where it's always been inside us all along?
It's the friends we made along the way.
That's what it's all about.
That's the true treasure. The friends we made along the way. But the Oubliette is great. There needs to be more shit that I can buy. Surely I can buy. I'm just gonna.
You can look if you go to any like witchy sort of shops. You can get those sort of candles, and then you just need to glitter them up with like a glitter spray or something. Ideally, something non-flammable because those candles are going to burn a whole lot quicker otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it needs to be like soy or beeswax because candles are bad for the environment. KO makes things on WordPress.com. In 2018, did a Labyrinth viewing party. It looks fucking incredible. Congrats, whoever this person is. They've got like bubbles from the ceiling. They've got the like Oubliette candles. That they've made themselves. Very nice. Very nice. Tells me how to make it myself. I'm not going to do that, KO, but thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful. Got the little Labyrinth book, got the crown. Oh, they've gone all out. Congrats on this. Oh, they got the little eye things in the wall. Oh, they've got the lipstick on the arrow. Oh my god, this is amazing. Well done. I want a Labyrinth party. So yeah, check that out. That's good. komakesthings.wordpress.com. Just came across that randomly, but great.
Awesome. Anything else you want to bring up at all?
I don't know if I mentioned the door, but the door is the best thing in the world.
Well, that brings us to the end of tonight's episode. Thank you as always for listening. And thank you obviously to my co-host Emily.
Thank you. And thank the door.
If you want to follow us, you can do. We are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter. So you can come and interact with us there. Let us know what your favourite scenes are, what you think about the door, all that sort of fun stuff.
Tell us what you think about the door.
If you haven't done already, please do hit the like and subscribe button wherever you happen to be listening to us, and leave us a review, as it all helps raise the profile of the show. But until next time, thank you as always for listening, and make sure you join us again for Chapter 12, False Alarms. Until then, good night.